steady on me. All right, this is your subject, not mine. Hands up. As I touched on earlier, the story behind this is I got involved with these doctors who were making these training courses, and they kept in touch with me and I kept in touch with them. They kept offering me courses to review and to rate, but I just didn't have the need for them because for about 20 odd years I've been doing the same stuff. You know, as human beings, their behaviors don't change much. So, and they were doing different stuff. So they persuaded me tried to persuade me for so long. I said, I'll take whichever course is your best selling just to keep them quiet. Unconscious bias, we sell over one every day. I'll have that. Didn't use it. Then I got an email from them. They'd got a company in London that wanted a suite of courses, including unconscious bias. So I then took a look at it, and it's a 2.5 hour course, and this company wanted chopping down to 1 hour. So I've got to take the axe to it. And I think what I've learned through looking at this a few times is it's a fascinating subject, as Lawrence well knows, and B, you know, if you've been doing training for a long time, you're probably not going to go buy somebody else's course unless you're doing it tomorrow. It doesn't really feel natural. But at 85 quid, you know, if you don't know what you're doing, you buy it, you go do it. So this led also to this company ask for other courses that I don't do either, such as digital awareness, digital well-being, environmental awareness. I'm just trying to think what the other ones. Oh yeah, menopause at work. But we're not going to go into that right now. All right. So this isn't the presentation. It's just for a bit of a chat. So I'm looking forward to your input, please, on yeah, what we can do to chop the rubbish out and make it better. Is that okay? Hope so. Here goes. Ooh. Here we go. So I've just whizzed through the objectives. Cool. Unconscious bias, just level of people's knowledge of unconscious bias. What would you give yourself on a 1 to 10? Are you everyone's muted?
I've just realised we muted ourselves, and yeah.
Yeah, talk to me, please. Mark, what do you know, 1 to 10? What would you give yourself?
Put me on the spot. Sorry, I was just trying to get the sun out of my
Probably
face.
about 2 for me, because I don't know. Do you?
Yeah, I'm not sure either. So imagine
I think it's because you don't know what you don't know, really, do you?
Your knowledge.
Oh.
We don't have to worry about that. That's something I tend to do just to.
Right, okay.
People,
yeah.
You know, while people are logging in, there's usually about a 10-minute gap between people logging in and getting going. So
I think I'm pretty good at being biased, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, spot on, Mark.
10 out of 10.
Are
you conscious of
bias,
it?
Yeah.
Cool. I'll rock on them. Okay. So, can you see triangles? Somebody shout at me. Jonathan, can you?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
if you know the answers, please just bear with me on this. All right, how many can you see?
5.
6.
11.
8. 8.
Oh. Huh?
So you got 1, 2, 3,
5, 8, and 11.
6,
They're usually the most
7,
popular
8.
numbers.
8, yeah.
8.
None.
8.
9.
I can see 3 Pac-Man as well.
I can't see triangles. What I see are other shapes that are making the illusion of triangles elsewhere.
Ah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Deep.
Yeah. Very good, Russell. Yeah. Okay, so the answer is, Russell's more or less right. There are none. So what's happening here? Our imagination is creating triangles for us. And let's just do this. Now you've got a triangle, all right?
Yeah,
so this is all about assumptions. When we don't know the full facts, we jump to conclusions and we assume. Yeah?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So, yeah, so that's the first thing about how our mind works. We fill the gaps when we don't know anything. What can you see there? Let me scroll down. Mike, what can you see?
I remember these books. I could never see anything on them.
What What was that thing? Kaleidoscope or something?
Yeah.
Was it? No, was that? What were them things that you used to turn?
Yeah, it was kaleidoscope.
Kaleidoscope.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Showing my age now.
yeah. Anybody? What can you see?
Just moving circles.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
appear
thanks,
to be
Jonathan.
moving until you look at it.
Mm.
But then they're like, are they flowers? I don't know. It's really so many things.
When
Yeah.
you look at it, it stops moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those- It's the peripheral vision seems to make them all appear to move.
Mm.
Yeah. So
A mind
what's
playing
happening?
tricks on us.
Yes, very good. Well done. Yeah. So basically, it's an optical illusion, and our mind is playing tricks on us. And what this tells us is that we don't always have a control of our own rational thinking. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's that one. Next up, tells a bit of information about information about the information. So we get 11 million bits per second of information from the brain, and you probably knew this, but that's rated the same bit size as computer memory. And so that's 10 million from what we're looking at, and about the other million made up of what we taste, what we feel, and what we smell. So a lot of stuff going in there. The challenge that we have is that we don't get 11 million, we get 50. So I don't know what 50 is dividing into 11 million, but we only get a teeny amount there, and hence the iceberg analogy. Anybody know why this is, why this happens?
It'd be overwhelming if you had to take in too much.
Yeah.
Is it the conscious and the subconscious? So the subconscious is processing so much more than the conscious, but it's just what we're aware of.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. If we had to process 11 million bits, we'd take about a week to make a cup of tea, I should think. So, that's why we do it. So the unconscious mind, it takes out most of the information, processes it for us, so that we can just get on with our lives.
Autopilot, isn't it? I guess like
That's
having to
it.
drive. If you had to think about driving every time you drive somewhere, you would never drive anywhere.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's like the first time you go and drive, you got to change the gear while pushing your foot down on the clutch and turn the steering wheel at the same time. And I had a few years where I was playing guitar lots, and gradually you can start to feel your fingers just going in places without thinking about it. It becomes second nature. So that's what that's all about. I mean, walking and talking and loads of stuff.
John, I was going to say, to use a computer term, if you're trying to process all of that, your brain would crash, wouldn't it?
Fantastic, Mark. Crashed brain.
Crushed brain, yeah.
Yeah, I might have one of them later, Mark. I'll be on the phone. How to uncrash my brain.
Control Alt Delete.
Often switch it on.
Yeah. Task manager.
Yeah.
Reboot. That's what you need.
Yeah. So what's happening here? These are shortcuts. It goes back something like 2,000 years ago, when man was roaming the savannah grasslands, and we were living in tribes, and we got saber-toothed tigers who thought we were tasty-looking meals. And so I think it's a little bit called the amygdala, left in an old part of our brain called the reptilian part of our brain that fires hormones into our body for the fight, flight, or freeze. We don't need this quite so much nowadays, but we still have it. Has anybody seen this one before, this riddle? Mark has or no? Yeah. I'll just give you a couple of seconds just to read it. So when you finish reading, if somebody give me a thumbs up or something, that'll be great.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Gary's on it.
Is he adopted or something?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yep, got it.
Got it. Good stuff.
I actually know it, sorry, so I'm gonna stay quiet.
Who said that? Is that Sasha? No.
No, it was me, Honorata. I know it
Oh.
because it came across one of my I'm a counselor in training as well, so we did talk about that kind of.
Yeah. Cool.
So I'm gonna stay quiet so to
Thank you. All right. Sasha, do you know what's going on here? No. You're muted. Kelvin, got any ideas?
Yeah, I think that we're talking about different fathers and different sons, but the mind is assuming that we're talking about the same people. But father is a generic word, and so is son. So I think because I'm in a car with another bloke, I'm still a son. Doesn't mean that he's my father.
Wow, there's some good analysis going on there, isn't there? Can anybody add to that? Can Mark?
Yeah, John, is he is the father a priest father, as in a father of a church?
I don't have the information on Mark. I don't know that, mate.
No.
Was the son adopted?
Whoa.
Oh, Karen's got it.
It's surprising how deep people are going, isn't it?
Oh, the surgeon's his mum.
Yeah.
Oh,
Gary, I think Gary knows it.
Yeah.
Tell us, Gary.
Well, that's exactly it. The surgeon's a woman, so
Yes, yeah.
You
So
assume
stay
it's
quiet because
the unconscious bias is that we all think the surgeon should be a male, but it's not.
yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, it's his mum. Yeah.
And it's interesting, isn't it, that so many different interpretations come up before anyone actually thinks about gender.
Yeah, well,
I think in German you wouldn't
more
have
about
that problem.
Yeah.
Karen actually got it in the chat as well. She just said, oh, I've just lost the chat actually, sorry. Karen said about the surgeon's his mum, and she said, we cover this in emotional intelligence in Dan Goldman's book.
Okay. Let me just change my pointer options. Hang on. I want to get off pen. Okay, cool. Well done. So that's what it is. Because we're cutting out so much information, we're just making judgments based on our own experiences and limited facts. Oops. All right. Yeah. So I was going to ask, what can we be biased about? Any more ideas? There's a bit of a clue there.
Well, obviously race.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Male or female.
Gender and nationality.
Yeah.
Religion.
Age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There aren't any left-handers in that square of hands.
Yeah, I'm a left-hander.
So am I.
Oh, what a biased picture. Yeah. Gender, age, communication styles, hobbies, absolutely anything. I read a stat last week saying a lot of HR people, was it 40% of HR people are biased against overweight women?
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, so it can be ginger hair, it could be too tall, too small, it can be anything, We generally think about the big topics, but it can be about anything. Yeah. So then we've got prejudice. Some people get prejudice mixed up with bias. Anybody tell us the difference?
Ooh.
I guess in the word, isn't it? Prejudging.
Yeah, that's where I got it from. I don't know if that's where it actually comes from, but that's what I was thinking.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it more an unconscious bias, more an unconscious behavior, and prejudice is more conscious?
Yeah,
Conscious, yeah.
Prejudice is more on actually doing something based on preconceptions, isn't it?
Yeah. I think we could say if we're prejudiced, we're using our conscious mind, aren't we? Using our conscious mind, I think.
Yes, it's the feeling or the action, isn't it? So something.
Yeah, but we've got some laws to prevent this.
Karen was just saying, where is it? Did anyone notice the recent death of the American RAF pilot? Before the news broke naming the pilot, everyone automatically thought it was a he.
Yes. Yeah.
That's interesting,
That's
Karen.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just say one thing on that, John? I think the laws, personally, I think the laws are there to prevent the discrimination, the behaviour that's unfair, because you can't prevent prejudice, technically, I don't think, because prejudice is your thought, and you can't prevent that thought. It could be instilled from your upbringing or childhood, so it will always be with you, but if you're conscious of what you think, you can manage how you behave. So you can't actually prevent the thoughts, if that makes, there's no thought police, but you can prevent and legislate for the behaviour.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Thank you, Lawrence.
That's brilliant.
Taken on board. Thank you. Good to have an expert on board. Yeah. Let's just get rid of that. Any thoughts there?
Number five is interesting though, because I guess having a, like you said, these shortcuts. I can't remember what's the technical term for these mental shortcuts. I can't remember there's a name for it anyway. But yeah, it saves time on a lot of things as well. It saves you time on when you think about, oh, that's dangerous. If you've seen something that was particularly dangerous happen, you can have a mental shortcut. That means you don't have to think through a process that's dangerous next time. You'll be able to quickly act.
Yeah.
It's just when maybe these things become too generalized across, I don't know, once we're attacked by a gang of people, and so it makes sense to be cautious. Therefore, all gangs of people are dangerous. That's when it can become problematic.
Yep, thank you for that.
I love number 3, by the way. That did make me smile, that one.
I was just popped it in as a bit of fun. That's on a poll, that one, normally, but yeah. Right, I popped this one in last night because there are so many biases out there, and I've got to chop all this lot down, and I thought, I haven't got time to talk about all of these. Which ones do we need to talk about, or some different ones?
Halo effect's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the
I
one
like
where
the idea of the conformity bias. Sorry, carry on, mate.
No, go on.
I was going to say conformity bias. That's quite an interesting one as well, because a lot of people feel they have to have that feeling because of. I use a classic one. I'm a big Cobblers fan, Northampton fan, and I always remember this. Yeah, I'm the one. But I always remember the other one. You used to always tell us our rivals were Peterborough, and you had to automatically not like anybody from Peterborough or think Peterborough was a horrible place and everything. And then when you start going there and meeting people from Peterborough, you realise it's not a horrible place, and those people are not horrible people. But it is a very conformity thing, isn't it? Because you're a group and you're part of a cult or something like that, that then people automatically push you towards something that you don't really believe, but you're made to believe. So that's quite an interesting one.
But the interesting thing
Keep that
here,
one in then, Mark.
Yeah.
The interesting thing here is, John, that if you notice, when you put those hands up in the shape, we had the left-handers notice that they were only right-handed. And when you put these biases up, we've had Karen come in to say, keep height because I'm small. So what people are doing are naturally looking after themselves and their own interests because of the fight, flight, freeze and survival. It's interesting what people are saying.
Yeah, no, thanks for highlighting that. Yeah, any others want to talk about?
Halo effect. And Lawrence, you'll probably say that's why I've picked. You'll notice why I've picked this one, Lawrence, because that's the tendency if someone say good looking, we attribute a lot of other positive qualities to them. So maybe Lawrence, that's where I've picked the halo effect. Just kidding.
And the name bias as well. Going back to when I was teaching, which is a long time ago now, everybody called Wayne was a right little bastard. And
snotty.
Yeah, Sharon's tended to be pretty awful as well.
Easy as well.
A bit more stereotyping.
And going back to conformity, Mark, it's a bit like don't get your neck tattooed, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Never, that's the reason why we wrote that book, because we called it that title, because some people will have a problem with it and some people won't, and it's like. But our background in recruitment, amazingly, was I used to visit every single company that we recruited for, before I'd go and match somebody to, because it was young person. It was based on character and the person that was going to fit, not the skills. Yeah. And the amount of times that I go and see a male director who would always say, "I'm not sexist, but I want a boy," or "I'm not sexist, but I want a girl." Yeah. And we would have that all the time. It was absolutely amazing. And the other one was, there was a big Asian family name of Begum, Begum. Mm-hmm. And whenever we used to send the details out on a person who had that surname, they would generally get knocked down the list of interviews straight away.
Yeah. And of course, ageism as well. As I'm very old, I find things like, "Oh, you'd be far too senior for this role."
You're overqualified.
Yes, that's another one. Yeah.
Tough. I'm a rock on.
Sarah,
where's unconscious bias come from?
Sorry, what is horn effect? I didn't understand that. Maybe.
Oh, a horn effect. Anybody else want to explain? Do you want me to go?
Is it the opposite of the halo effect?
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so obviously everything you do, if you've got halo effect, everything somebody does is really good, and the opposite for the horns effect.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So you'd assume, like David Beckham, everyone seems to think he's attractive, so therefore you'd assume that he's therefore good at things, he's intelligent, he's a good dad, he's a good husband, just because of his look, pretty much.
That's a bit more beauty bias. I mean, the halo and horns
Where
is
Posh Spice might
really
disagree.
halo is likes. You like people like themselves, so you go with the likes and the things that are similar. And the horns is things that are different, really.
Is that more like the affinity bias, Jonathan? People who like themselves. Sorry, Lawrence.
Sorry, I think that's the halo, and there's a lot of these cross over a little bit, like confirmation and conformity cross over quite a bit. It's useful to get a definition for each one of those.
Yeah, I've just got too many on here.
Having
Really.
those, it drives and stimulates conversation.
Yeah. No, great, thanks. Well, I've got to chop most of these out, really. Fit it all in an hour. It's 2.5 hours.
We can talk afterwards.
Could I add with all these things? I think because there's a lot of talk about all of these things.
So you've all gone quiet now.
Yeah, I was just going to add on some of these things. There's so many of these things we've got to watch out for in ourselves, but isn't it more a case of rather than trying to change ourselves, just trying to be aware of our thinking processes?
Yeah. For me, you might never change what you think because that's you, but if you're conscious of what you're thinking, you can change what you do and say.
Absolutely. I think I agree with that.
So you may become aware why you're thinking certain way. Which
You may
doesn't mean
do, or you might
change
never
it.
understand why, because it could be instilled in you from your upbringing. You know, lots of
Yeah.
Still,
you
let's
could
sports and
increase
values
the
are
awareness.
imprinted.
Well, let's talk about that, Lawrence. Say where it comes from. You mentioned upbringing. Any other areas where this unconscious bias can come from?
School, your education.
Peers,
yeah. Good one.
Yeah,
Family.
peer pressure and all that.
Family, friends,
That way.
Social media, TV, experiences.
I think you've just about got all my images on here. Yeah. So loads of different places, isn't there? I'll hop on, just do a couple more, then I'll let Yvonne have a go, shall I?
Yeah.
Do carry on. It's really interesting.
I know, I'm loving this.
I'm loving this.
Yvonne can wait till next time.
I'll just do this one then I'll disappear. Okay, so I'd like you to think about the 6 people you trust the most, apart from family members. All right.
Gary the goat.
All right. And so what I would normally do is, in a classroom basis, whatever, give out a piece of paper and I'd fold it in half or whatever so that you don't see the columns across the top. So I've just tried to replicate this a little bit.
He's got a horn bias.
So anyway, so if you think about the people that you trust the most, you might be able to see where this is going. And this is quite a good activity. I did this with a couple of people the other day, and it was so obvious. So you got your 6 people?
Yeah. Oh, I haven't written them down.
Later.
Can anybody just shout out what I'm trying to achieve here, or what it shows?
Yeah.
Echo chambers.
Probably how similar those people are in terms of those characteristics.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, generally speaking, we trust those people who are very similar to ourselves.
Tick.
Yeah. So I think going back to the hiring, we probably hire on a
silos.
Yeah, that's it. We'd hire people like ourselves. Yeah. I remember as a young boy having an argument with my father, just about a daily, weekly basis, whatever. And I said to him when I was about the age of 6 or 7, I said, "You don't like me?" He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, if I wore a flat cap and went down the pub and played darts on a Friday, you'd like
me." Shortcut, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, I think I'll probably leave it there, if that's all right, because I don't want to take up too much of you know, Yvonne's time.